Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, and I think all of you are doing well. So in my previous video I was discussing the subject of agreements. Okay, so I think in the first video of subject of agreement I already discussed three rules. Okay, and now I am going to continue with the fourth rules. Okay, and so our topic of discussion is subject verb agreement. Subject verb agreement. So let's continue with the fourth example or fourth rule, you can say. Rule number 4. So in fourth rule, we can include if the subject is in singular, the verb will also be in singular form. Okay. For example, I can include he works. He works. He is a good man. So, if you notice, in the first example, the subject is he, and he is singular, all of you know. And as the subject is in singular form, that's why we have also put the verb in singular form, works. Okay, and don't be confused with s. Okay, because we know that I have already told in my first video that v1 plus s or es is equal to singular, okay. For example, goes, comes, drives, etc. So these are the first, these are the singular verb. Okay, don't plural. So in the next example, if you see, the subject is he again, and the verb is in singular, because the subject is he, and the subject he always refer to the singular form, and that's why the verb is also in singular. Okay, so in the fifth example, I can include the opposite of it. Okay, the opposite of the fourth one, that is, if the subject is in plural form, the verb will also be in plural form. Okay, let's take an example. If I say, okay, let's relate with this one. Okay, if I say he, not he, they walk, they walk, and if I take another example, they are good men. They are good men. Then, if you notice, in the first example, the subject is they, and work is in also means the verb is also in the plural form. Okay, because walks is singular, but walk is always plural. And in the second example, the subject is also they, and they is plural. In the same way, we have to put the verb into plural form. That's why the verb is are. We can't write they is good man. Okay, or men, whatever. In the same way, in the first example, we can't write they walks. Okay, we need to write they walk. Because, okay, so in the sixth rule, I can include an uncountable noun. An uncountable noun, though singular, the plural in sense, takes singular verb. For example, I can write his hair is long. Rice is good for health. So, if you notice here, the subject is hair. Okay. So, hairs, although this refer to an uncountable noun and plural in sense, but always the subject will be in singular. We can't use or can't write his hair are long. Okay, we can't write. And in the same way, in the next example, rice refers to the plural sense, although the sense is plural, but basically it's a singular. Okay, and that's why we have used is with it. We can write rice are good for health. Okay, always we have to write rice is good for health. Okay, so let's go to the seventh example, seventh rule. By adding the before before an adjective, by adding the before an adjective, we can refer to the whole group of men in the society, in the society in the society. Hence the verb will be in plural. The verb will be in plural. For example, I can say the old are respected. So here we have add the before an adjective, and the adjective is old. So we write that the old, and this the old is referring to the whole class or the whole group of old people or old men. Okay, Hence, we have added or we have written the verb into plural form. That's why the old are respected. We can't write the old is respected. Okay. But if I write if I write the old man is good, is good or are good. So this is the question. The old man is good or are good? The old man, this is referring to the singular. Okay, we are not talking about the whole group of old men. Okay, so the old man takes the verb in singular. Okay, we can't write the old man are good. The old man, because this is in singular, so the verb will also be in singular. Okay, I think it's clear to you. So let's go to the eighth example. So in eighth rule, I can include the phrase of measurement. Measurement, though plural in sense takes singular verb. For example, I can write 10 miles. 10 miles is too long. 10 miles. So the subject is 10 miles. Okay. Although it is looking that means or simply we can say that the sense here is plural. Okay, because 10 miles it is referring to the plural sense. But always such senses means such phrases of measurement measurement always measurement always takes the verb into singular. That's why we have to write 10 miles is too long, not 10 miles are wrong. We can't write are. This is wrong. Okay. And in the ninth example, I can include the subjects, like each, every, any, takes, singular, takes singular verb, takes singular verb. Such words, or if you get such subject like each, every, any, then you have to write the verb into singular. Okay. For example, for example, each boys has arrived. Each boys has arrived. So we can't write have. We can't write have. Have will be wrong. 10. So in 10th rule, I can include if two singular subjects, if two singular subjects are joined by or the verb will be in singular. The verb will be in singular. So for example, Ram or Sham has to go. Ram or Sham has to go. Then we have add or in between Ram and Sham. Ram is also in singular. Sham is also in singular. Then as we put or in between them, that's why we are referring any one of them. Any one of them. Okay? Not to both. As we are referring to any one of them and both are in singular. Okay? That's why the verb has also to be in singular. That's why we have put the verb has instead of have. We can't write Ram or Sham have to go. Okay, always we need to write Ram or Sham has to go. Clear? And in the 11th example, I can include uh, okay, it is related to the 10th example. It is related to the 10th example, but a little difference is there. That is, if if two subjects are joined by or but the second form not second form second subject but the second subject joined by or, let's see this, joined by or, and if the second subject is in plural, the verb will be in plural. The verb will be in plural. So in this case, in the 10th example, if you have seen that two singular subjects are joined by or, then we need to put the verb into singular form, right? But in this case, if two subjects are joined by or, and if the second subject is in plural, okay, second subject or the later subject is in plural form, then the verb will also be in plural. Okay, for example, for example, Ram or they, Ram or they dash to go. Ram or they dash to go. So what will be the answer? From this one we have to choose has or have. Has or have. So the answer will be nothing but have. Ram or they have to go, because they is in plural form or plural subject. That's why the verb will also be in plural. Okay, I think up to this clear, and I'm going to stop here, and in my next video I will continue with the other rules, rule number from rule number 12. Okay, so see you soon in the next video. Thank you.